What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're here for a realistic rebuild of the New York Football Giants here in Madden 25. Now, you'd be saying, C4, I remember you did a realistic rebuild with the Giants 2 months ago. You drafted Quinn Ewers. You moved Daniel Jones to a Taysom Hill tight end hybrid role. Yes, but I think it's time to kind of reset and start over with our Madden 25 realistic rebuilds, because it was a couple months ago that we did start this series, and since then, team needs have changed. Team draft order has changed. There have been multiple updates done to the realistic draft classes that we use in these rebuilds. So I feel like it's a great opportunity now to take a look at a team with 2 games remaining that are firmly in the driver's seat for the #1 overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. And we are going to realistic rebuild the New York Giants. And our goal is going to be in a minimum of 5, maximum of 10 seasons, we have to turn this New York Giants team, who, as we look through the rankings, pretty much the worst passing and rushing offense, can't block, can't cover, can't rush the passer. They're fast. That suits my personal play style, but generally speaking, this is not good for New York. They are a team, more than any team in the NFL, that needs a complete reset and complete rebuild, and I think we can bring them a Super Bowl. So we're going to call this year 0. We're not going to officially count this as one of our minimum of 5, maximum of 10 seasons to rebuild the Giants into a Super Bowl contender, and we have 2 games remaining in the regular season. Week 17 against the Colts, Week 18 against the Philadelphia Eagles. In reality, you know, Colts are playing with a lot of fire right now. Jonathan Taylor is on fire. And honestly, that Week 18 game as a Philadelphia Eagle fan, it'd be kind of cool if we could rest all of our starters, screw over the Giants, have them win, and cost themselves the first overall pick. But the reality is, it's likely looking like an 0-2 stretch here for the New York Giants. So let's get through quickly these 2 games. Then we'll dive into the roster a little bit, and we'll get ready for what is going to be a gigantic offseason that hopefully will alter the franchise forever. So the Giants hold up their end of the bargain and end up losing the final 2 games of the regular season against the Colts and the Eagles. And much like Giant fans have been doing since Halloween, the mock draft season has begun. And mock draft 1 has exactly what we want on the cards. Shedeur Sanders at number 1. When we look at the regular season stats for the Giants, obviously with the release of Daniel Jones, the quarterback numbers are certainly skewed, and none of these guys are going to be valuable contributors to our squad next season, as much as a meme as DeVito is. But Tyrone Tracy has kind of been a surprise. I know, and I haven't helped much as a Philadelphia Eagle fan. We've been clowning you guys for losing Saquon Barkley, and it's funny, but the reality is Saquon Barkley, at best, gets you guys an extra 1 or 2 wins on the season and plays you out of having the #1 pick and your option of whatever quarterback you want in the 2025 NFL Draft. And you got good value out of Tyrone Tracy. I mean, he was a Raz All-Star, had a huge combine, an underrated running back at Purdue. And you certainly see a guy here that could definitely develop into a guy, play only 24 years old, 78 overall, going into his 2nd season. Like, I have every expectation that he could continue to develop into a cheap, affordable RB1. Now, will he develop enough to get a 2nd contract? That remains to be seen. I think for the receiving room, whatever quarterback we do end up deciding on, you have certainly some playmakers. You got the Canadian Theo Johnson, who, you know, again, these are all young players that got on the field, got some reps in the rookie campaign, and should be optimistic that their sophomore seasons are only going to continue to go on an upwards trajectory. And the Canadian Theo Johnson at 6'6", 265, 74, no dev trait, but this is an elite athlete for that big of a player, and I think he absolutely can be a great safety net option with some verticality for whoever our next quarterback is. 79 catches, 700 yards, 3 touchdowns for Wan'Dale Robinson, who's a great utility piece for this offense going forward. 77 overall with a star dev trait, only 23 years old. He's the kind of playmaker that I have in years past. Moved him to running back, and he has a great skill set to thrive at that position, also as a slot wide receiver. So he's just a great utility player and kind of everything the Giants thought Kadarius Toney would be. Then we got to finish with the 1st round pick, Mailk Nabers, who with terrible quarterback play goes over 100 catches on the year, over 1,000 yards on the year. So next be our quarterback, be it Shedeur Sanders. Maybe we hit a little U-turn, get Cam Ward. Their go-to guy is going to be Mailk Nabers. I'm putting the C on his chest. He had a couple viral locker room interviews after game. I like that style of play. I like the guy that's not happy that they're terrible. I like the guy that looks pretty much miserable because he's losing all the time. Because I think when things get up, he is going to continue to elevate his game because he's that doc. He's that alpha of that room, and sky is the limit. I think there's a player here in the context of Madden that can be a 99 X factor with the right quarterback play. And if we are going to turn this program around and win a Super Bowl and become bullies in the NFC and the NFL overall, Mailk Nabers is going to be our superstar player. Defensively, Micah McFadden and Bobby Akaraki give us legit starter ability at the linebacker position, both over 100 tackles, 8 TFLs, and 6 respectively, both with 3 sacks. Pass rush has a lot of good and bad. The good is decent return on investment on Brian Burns. Paid a lot to get him over from the Carolina Panthers, but finishes his campaign 67 tackles, 13 TFLs, and double-digit sacks. For how not great this defense was, even though they were pretty good at rushing the passer. That's a good return. And you would ideally like to make that his floor going forward. Anything below that's going to be very disappointing. Dexter Lawrence, before he got hurt, was probably the best defensive tackle in football. And anytime a 350-pound nose tackle is flirting with double-digit sacks, you have an absolute superstar in your hands. Azeez Ojulari, rotational pass rusher, had decent production, and he's going to be a player whose contract's going to be up sooner than later, and we're going to make a tough decision because you have the very disappointing Kayvon Thibodeau, who still is a very good football player, and we are going to have to do everything in our power to find a way to develop and turn him around, because he was one of the blue chip players a couple years ago coming out of Oregon, and I just think he's another one of those guys that's just been on a bad Giants team. And when you're on a bad team, your development takes a hit, and I feel like that's the circumstance there with Thibodeau. For our coaching staff, I'm going to keep Brian Daboll. Man, he was coach of the year. Even though I thought it was an absolute joke that he won the award, he did win it. He is half Canadian, so I will let him remain the coach. But we are going to make a little bit of a change here. Not one that I always make. I hate 3-4 defenses. I absolutely do, but I will try my best. And my new realistic rebuild, we're resetting it. Any 3-4 team, I'm going to give them 2 seasons. You get 2 seasons to prove that you're not just going to make my players suck and cannibalize their dev trade and ceilings because you were simply a 3-4 defense, that if I just started with a 4-3, you'd have Dex Lawrence, Brian Burns, Thibodeau getting double-digit sacks. I'm going to give you a chance. However, offensively, we are going to be bringing in a brand new quarterback, a rookie quarterback, and you better believe it, that is what we are doing. We are going to have a quarterback guru offensive coordinator, someone that can kind of represent Daboll and why I think Daboll got the head coaching job with the New York Giants in the first place, and that was, at that time, as we only have one here in McGovern, to develop Daniel Jones, make Daniel Jones the quarterback the Giants thought he was when they drafted him out of Duke. That failed, but I truly believe they will give him one more chance with whoever they decide to draft in 2025. So to represent that, let's get an OC with quarterback guru. If this ends up being the Super Bowl, I'll be absolutely shocked that a team that the Giants actually beat in the regular season, the Seattle Seahawks, could go on and do it, but all right, I've seen crazier things. So we're going to take a look at contracts. This is our only time to re-sign players, decide if we want to pick up fifth-year options, etc., etc. And then once we complete this, I do want to kind of do a quick roster breakdown and explain my thing. I think for Thibodeau, $10 million fifth-year option, I think we can get the best out of him. However, just disappointing. There was bust potential when he was drafted out of Oregon, but I still personally had him as like the final last kind of blue chip player from that class. I think there's still a player in there. Maybe, needs some tough coaching, get his mind right. But I think ultimately $10 million option is not too bad. Slayton's a good role player. Does have a dev trait, but I don't really want him for 3 years. Adoree Jackson, I think we have good corner depth, which I'll break down in a second. I think we're fine there. Ojulari had a hell of a year, but where does he fit on this defense? We're a 3-4. We already have our 2 pass rushers. $10 million for a rotational pass rusher that could chip in for sacks is not brutal. But I'm going to go on to the thinking that we re-sign him here and he might be a trade piece. Because that's not a lot of money. We have a lot of cap that we're not going to spend this offseason. So I'm thinking maybe we find a way to parlay him into a trade piece. I don't know. Or maybe Thibodeau is the trade piece. Evan Neal, we are not going to pick out the fifth-year option. But I do have a plan for him to see if he can kind of carve out a secondary career here, if you will. And I'll explain that in just a second. We got Isaiah Simmons. Awesome player, but maybe it's not fair to say awesome player, awesome athlete. 20. I don't hate that. I feel like there's always a way that you can find a way to get his versatility on the field if he wants to come back. But I think everyone else, best of luck to you. So when you look at the landscape of the Giants roster going to our first offseason, Clean slate at quarterback. I don't think anybody would have it any other way. Tough contract to have for Singletary, and I think he obviously represents now the whole Saquon debacle. It would be nice to get him off the books, but he's going to be an RB2. We're going to go with Tyron Tracy as our RB1 going forward, with optimism that he's going to continue to develop and get off that normal depth trade. At wide receiver, we got Mailk Nabers, Wan'Dale Robinson. Jalen Hyatt can be our go ball streak player. I mean, he was a baller at Tennessee, but I definitely think long-term, Nabers on the outside, Wan'Dale in the slot, find another wide receiver, and I think we'll be in a great spot. I think Theo Johnson can continue to develop. We have Andrew Thomas. If he can get back, he is our, in the discussion for a top 5, if not at absolute worst, top 10 left tackle in all of the NFL. And he'll be a 90 overall. We got John Runyon, who's a good role player. John Michael Smith was a decently high pick, has not really panned out, so I do think long-term center could be a need. And right tackle, we have Evan Neal. Hasn't worked out. He's one I got wrong. I had him as a blue chip player when he was coming out of Alabama. Now, I'm going to say this, and I don't want to remind everyone watching, in case you're a Giant fan, that I am a Philadelphia Eagle fan, but I could see Evan Neal being a guy that the Giants give up on, and Philly's going to pick him up, and we're going to let the best offensive line coach in football, maybe in NFL history, in Jeff Stoutland, take Evan Neal and fix him. And how is he going to fix him? The same way we fixed Mekhi Becton. The same way we took a former first-round pick out of New York at tackle, who showed some promise, ultimately was deemed a bust, cut. We got Mekhi Becton playing like probably a fringe Pro Bowl guard. He's going to get paid. We only have him on a 1-year rental. I think that's what you got to do with Evan Neal. Very similar body types. Maybe not the same type of athlete, but I think if you were going to save Evan Neal, before you just throw him to the curb, maybe, yeah, you decline the 5th-year option. Maybe that's the kick in the ass he needs. I think there's a guard in there. So that is what we are going to do. And if it pans out, he's going to be cheaper to re-sign as a guard than he would be as a right tackle. Now, by making that switch, we have a Luminor who could be a Band-Aid at that tackle spot for a year or two until we can go draft a replacement. That also will be a position, say, after we get our quarterback in the first round, come second round, right tackle could very well be our next biggest need. We run the 3-4 defensively, and on that line, I think it's almost more impressive what Dexter Lawrence is able to do, kind of looking at the dudes that are around him, like almost an Aaron Donald level. Like when Aaron Donald was with the Rams, did not have a lot of help on that D-line. It was pretty much him and nobody else. So I think there's definitely an opportunity here to maybe make his life easier and see if the value presents itself at some point this offseason or during the draft to get some 3-4 pass rushers. Even then, I don't want to rush to spend and get 3-4 pass rushers like defensive linemen, because we may switch off that 3-4, and then we'll have a surplus defensive tackle of yada, yada, yada. But it will be something we need to monitor, because Dex Lawrence, we got to give him as much help as we can. We have Thibodeau and Ojulari. Honestly, one of these guys probably will be trade. One of the other guys will hopefully develop, and ideally that would be Thibodeau develop. Ojulari is trade bait. Akarike, McFadden are solid at 1-2 punch at linebacker. Brian Bird's absolute beast, and maintained his X factor. So we have 2 X factors on the defensive side of the ball. Very happy that Brian Burns, with his double-digit sacks, was able to maintain that. You know what? Put an old C on his chest there. We let Adoree Jackson walk at corner, and I think I like our room here. We have Drew Phillips, who's probably the best corner on the roster. Dog. Absolute dog. I will say the times that we played and the times that I've seen them play, I believe he's their nickel. Awesome player. Great player. Has a dev trade. Cordell Flott, 24, 75, dev trade. Deontay Banks needs a little bit of a redemption act, but at 6'2", with 94 speed, 97 acceleration, I'm going to gamble that this 75 that we are slowly taking from a pure man corner, our defensive scheme wants zone, so that's kind of where I've been spending the points. We're going to hopefully have him turn around, because we got 3 corners with enough upside dev trait, and on the right side of 25 that they could develop into a shutdown unit. Free safety, not so much. Need to get someone there. At strong safety, we have Nubin and Simmons. Honestly, we could probably move Nubin to free safety, have Simmons be the strong safety. Now, not great cover guys, but I'm telling you about 2 box players that are pretty much going to double up as linebackers. Our run defense will definitely improve with both these guys on the field, so I think that's what we'll do. So for our first wave of free agency, had a lot of money. Doesn't mean we have to spend it. We improved the special teams, getting 2 new starters, bringing Evan McPherson, who alongside Eddie Pinheiro, there's a couple, as a Florida Gator fan, a couple dark years where honestly Pinheiro and then we had McPherson were our best offensive weapons. So we're bringing him over, and then on the D-line, we got Davenport, who at 6'6", 285, think he's certainly fringe enough to start as a 3-4 defensive end, and he will go on one side, hopefully help out Dexter Lawrence going into next season. So the clock has begun for the 2025 NFL Draft, and with the #1 overall pick, a franchise-altering decision for the New York Giants. We have a quarterback dilemma, potentially. The first time we did this rebuild, 2 months ago, we went Quinn Ewers. Things have drastically changed since we went Quinn Ewers at the quarterback position, and it really does seem like it's going to be a 1-2 punch for who the first quarterback drafted is going to be. Cam Ward, I think Vegas still has Shedeur's #1, but I think absolutely valid discussion to be had. I think for this scenario, though, with the background of Coach Prime, Sanders, not necessarily handpicking, but pretty much coming out and saying Shedeur only play for specific teams. Who's a franchise that's done that in years past? Oh, I don't know. How did the Giants get Eli Manning? Huh? Eli refused to play for the Chargers, I think it was. Ends up going to the Giants. I think similar situation. If somehow, some way, the Giants lose their way by winning their way out of the #1 overall pick, I think there's still a chance Shedeur ends up going there. Good player, man. I like Shedeur. I know that the polarizing player. I ultimately on the side, I'm a fan. 6'2", 215, smooth release, as accurate as any quarterback in this class. Had a 91 PFF grade. 35 touchdowns to 8 picks, gives you some mobility while not a true dual threat. But I firmly believe you throw true value out the window, especially when it relates to the quarterback position. Look at that. Elite accuracy, makes tough throws look easy, build up the offensive line around him, hidden dev trait quarterback. He will win us and bring us another Super Bowl. In the second round, I was thinking, ideally, in a perfect world, we could grab a right tackle. I scouted Josh Connolly under the assumption that he would be there at the tip of the second round. A pass block, B run block. However, the combine, good, not great. And the fact that we have him fully scouted as a third, fourth round talent, that's just a little bit of a reach. Also, considering that a 3-4 defensive end could justifiably be as big of a need. And we got a one scouted here, 2 of the Mosley, Shamar Stewart and Landon Jackson. We have Landon Jackson scouted, 6'7", 282 pounds. Had 7 sacks, 21 hurries last year in the SEC. It should be, and the kind of discussion around him is that he's pro ready. Might not have the highest ceiling, but he's going to be a guy that's going to be able to contribute sooner than later as a rookie. And that's exactly what we need with our lack of depth up front on that front three. We bring in Marcus Davenport on one side of Dexter Lawrence, and we're going to be able to draft in the second round Landon Jackson to kind of round out that front three, and we get a dev trade on just a unique build. 6'7", 282, 82 acceleration, 83 speed, 85 strength was on Bruce Feldman's freaks list. I think he could be a good player for us. I was going to trade out of this pick here, first pick of the third round. I might still do it, honestly. If we can get some sort of value. I'm at a spot right now. We need a tackle. There's no tackle on the board. So we can get a future second from the Browns. That's where you get some team that's desperate. Someone that slipped out of the second round. Teams that are win now are going to be very, very interested. Now it's all about playing the game of who's going to suck the most. And I think we're going to finesse the Browns. So we're already starting now. We told Adrian, hey, remember when you were in the discussion for the best left tackle? Well, we went out and we got you a franchise quarterback to justify your hype. And he said, you know what? I didn't even show up to training camp last year. I'm going to come in. I'm going to put in work. I'm going to prove that I'm a top 5 tackle in the league. And we told Shedeur, get out there and work with your new teammates. We got Theo Johnson, almost 6'7", premier athlete in the red zone. He needs to be your go-to guy. So they're working in reps, and they absolutely dominate the red zone drill. The same can be said with Mailk Nabers. We don't need a couple weeks of them trying to figure each other out. A couple weeks of getting on the same page. We need them dominating right away in training camp so that week 1, they could be a dynamic duo, and I think that's exactly what we're going to get. Let's go, Shedeur. Killing it. Oh, no. Pressure's too much. No! He's just stunting now. He said, I'll get you a goal, but actually, I don't need it. We're going to get silver, and we're going to still have that as our level of confidence going into this year. Silver. Probably his dev trait. So after his first training camp, Shedeur Sanders, now rocking the #2, got 2 skill points, which is good. I mean, he looked good in all those drills. Quarterback drill and drills for the wide receivers. He was on point. He was on rhythm. The chemistry is forming. So I think it is fair to say expectations are very high. That in a quarterback class that has a lot of unknowns, a lot of variables, Cam Ward, Quinn Ewers, all these other dudes, Shedeur Sanders has the expectation that he should walk, not run, walk, jog, maybe like a brisk jog to the Offensive Rookie of the Year award, which should help a dev trade that I, might not be the best. I don't, I'm not expecting this to be an X factor. Could be superstar, but if it's a star, we need to make sure he positions himself well to get that Offensive Rookie of the Year, which usually is a bump up in dev trade. And we're going to start things out here in his NFL debut at home against a very, very annoying, very good Minnesota Vikings, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Brian Flores, exotic blitzes. It could potentially be a long day. But with our expectations for Shedeur Sanders being incredibly high, I mean, I don't know if they're expecting us to sit him. Try to slow cook him. Absolutely not. And I hate that there's only two options to answer that question, because there should be 100% this is our day one starter. You'd be missing out on a lot of development by sitting him. Yeah, we're gonna throw him to the Wolves because that's where he's gonna thrive. And I don't know if they haven't watched Colorado play, but he is a very pro-ready quarterback. And I think we'll revisit this at season's end. And assuming that he plays well, there should be a gigantic XP boost. Oh, baby. A New York bust in Sam Darnold, reinventing himself for the Minnesota Vikings. One of the best stories in the NFL in the 2024 season against Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback prospect who's probably going to be like the most unique quarterback rookie in a minute, because there's been rookies that have more hype than Shedeur Sanders. But I don't know if there's been rookies that have like the level of hype and just like, I don't want to compare him to like the Lonzo Ball, LeVar Ball, because it's definitely different. But there's a lot of similarities where I think Shedeur's going to enter the league. Expectation is he's going to be great. But I think there's going to be so many people that don't like him and are going to like rooting for him to fail. It's going to be such a unique dynamic for a rookie quarterback. All right, let's start things out. First pass Shedeur, we're going to hit him on a play action. Get him to bite. And hopefully we got Mailk Nabers right across the middle of the field. Boom. And there we go. That's how you start it. There we go. Good completion. Theo Johnson out in space on an edge rusher. He got smashed. But Shedeur's been perfect on this opening drive. His first opening drive. Put inside. Hey, oh, brutal. Come on, Robinson. Okay, we got slants again this time. Mailk Nabers back in. They took a shot in the previous play. Oh, wow. Here's where I'd like to be like, you know what? At home, this franchise, let's go for it here. Against a playoff team. Oh! Hospital ball. Come on, Shedeur. Oh, I like that, though. Theo Johnson. Height, weight, speed, mismatch. Oh, Tracy. Ooh, lace of lumber. I'm thinking, though, man, Mailk Nabers might be a lot better option in the slot for this team. I'll let Shedeur just do it himself. I mean, Nabers, 100 catches. Very difficult to get 100 catches on the outside. I get maybe Wan'Dale Robinson might be best in that slot. Okay, there we go. Right back to work. There we go. Oh, you got to hit that. Theo Johnson was wide open. I guess we'll take the field goal. Trust that our defense can give us a chance. Stupid, though. Stupid to make that assumption. But no turnovers for Shedeur. And in a game against, probably likely a 13-14 win team from a year ago. One score. looks a lot better. That game would have been a lot more one-sided last season than it would this year. But got to find ways to get Mailk Nabers the ball more, or this is going to be a long season. Just to show that we can bounce back, and maybe I was holding the team back slightly, we bounced back week 2 with the first win of the Shedeur Sanders era, 27-17 over, a competitive Cardinals team. 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks for Shedeur Sanders. Tracy finds himself in the end zone over 100 yards. They get Mailk Nabers going, Jalen Hyde and Wan'Dale, so everyone kind of ate on the receiving side. Defensively, like to see maybe a little more pressure. Happy that Drew Phillips gets on the board with an interception, however. Week 3, Chiefs go down 26-21. Was it a blowout? It would be cool if that was a blowout to flex on. But we got also a breakout scenario here to pay attention to for Micah McFadden in the coming weeks, which would be nice. Normal dev linebacker on the right side of 30, unlike Bobby Okereke, who's already showing signs of regression. Just want to see, was it Shedeur? Was it the defense? I mean, Shedeur played clean. We got 2 picks on Patrick Mahomes. Tracy went off over 100 yards with a touchdown. Mailk Nabers leads the team. Receiving, we got 2 sacks. Dex Lawrence, Davenport getting after it, and 2 picks. McFadden and Okereke in the middle of the defense as upset of the year. So we're right before the bye week, 6-5, and unfortunately taking an L on the road against the Detroit Lions. 6-5 though. I mean, we are a 2-win team a year ago, and we have Shedeur Sanders, first player of the week, first of many, I'd like to think. Just under 300 yards, well, over 300 total yards and 3 passing touchdowns. So over $100 million in salary cap gives us a lot of flexibility with who we want to try to re-sign. And again, I got to reiterate, a lot of these guys on the right side of 25, like Evan Neal, is he going to be able to reinvent himself at guard? I want to kind of gamble on that and get a guy, gamble on that upside. It's $31 million. What he's going to look like at 30 years old, should be in the 80s, and that contract should age incredibly well. We got Micah McFadden at linebacker. Yet to do anything with that breakout scenario, but I think he's another dude that got some upside. So why not keep him till he's 29? $22 million for 4 years. Not worried about it. We have Cordell Flott, again, another player, right side of 25, has a dev trait, and get ahead of it. We'll go 3.2, 2.5, somewhere in that range. 5-year, under $30 million. And in 2-3 years' time, we're going to be laughing at that contract. Now, here's one that we're gambling that is a little bit more expensive, but $24.81 of the dev trade. Sky's the limit for Wan'Dale Robinson. And honestly, if Tyrone Tracy doesn't get a contract extension, I think having Wan'Dale Robinson on the roster, you always have that potential option to move him to running back. Now, I don't want a $10, $12 million running back, but I think there's just more ways that he can kind of make plays for us going forward. The flexibility, that's going to be worth coming back to the table again, probably give him another $1 million and lock him in for 4 to 5 years. At the end of year number 1, the Giants go 9-8. Split the final 2 games, lose to Philly, barely beat the Chicago Bears, but 9-8 is good enough for us to go 3rd place in the NFC East. But somehow, everyone else is kind of bad, and we are the 6th seed in the NFC in Shedeur Sanders' first season. Looking at the stats, the recap, wasn't prolific, but I think, honestly, 36, round that up, 3,700 yards, 28 touchdowns, single-digit interceptions. With the offense, still, we have a premier wide receiver 1, franchise left tackle. Everything else is kind of up in the air a little bit. That's a good starting point for Shedeur Sanders. Certainly don't want this to become his ceiling, but if this can kind of become his floor for the rebuild, I think we're going to be looking in a great spot. Tyrone Tracy goes over 1,000 yards on the season with 8 touchdowns, 380 and 4 from Shedeur. So that gives us 32 touchdowns, almost 4,000 total yards. That's going to be very happy with that. I love also the fact Wan'Dale Robinson, it's not crazy amount of usage, but we are having him a little bit as a utility player, which is pretty cool. And 2,000-yard receivers is good. 81 catches, 1,100 yards, 16 touchdowns for Wan'Dale Robinson, who was in the slot, is good. However, only 3 receiving touchdowns from Mailk Nabers is not getting him the football enough. Now, I'm happy he went over for 1,000 yards, but for our superstar dev wide receiver, it might make a lot more sense insurance-wise to maintain and protect that dev trade and his upside. Maybe we need to put him as our slot wide receiver going forward, if that's the kind of numbers that the slot's going to put up in this offense. All due respect to Wan'Dale Robinson, we know who our guy is, our go-to guy. Decent numbers are Theo Johnson, Jalen Hyatt, and Tracy out of the backfield. Defensively, 100 tackles from Micah McFadden, 2 TFLs, 4 sacks. We got 11.5 sacks Brian Burns, 11 from Dex Lawrence. Ugh. I mean, ugh. I'm not saying we need... honestly, I'm at a spot where, like, what would we get on the open market? What's the going rate for a Thibodeau or Ojulari? If we're only going to utilize 2 pass rushers, I'm fine with that. It's, maybe we got to make some moves elsewhere. Interception numbers also pretty disappointing with how upsidey I feel like our secondary room is. I'd love to see someone kind of break out. Wandale Robinson made the short list for Offensive Player of the Year, which, I mean, he had a hell of a season, so full kudos to that. But our only award winner is Shedeur Sanders winning Rookie of the Year, which very much is needed. Because while we have the QB guru that's helped giving him a +4 to his base rating, he is a star dev. And star dev for an exciting prospect like this, it ain't gonna cut it. So hopefully with that hardware that he's picked up, Offensive Rookie of the Year, we'll get that superstar dev trade increase before the end of the season. But we cannot think about cleaning out our lockers because we have a chance to go on a Cinderella run. Now we have the Detroit Lions who beat us in the regular season, and they are a team that is ready to compete right now for a Super Bowl versus the Giants, who are, figuring things out with a rookie quarterback, and we get the win. 30-28. Suck it, Lions. The 6-seed Giants, they don't let us get hot. And I mean, Detroit exploded there in the second. Other than that, we controlled it. We were much more consistent throughout. And look at that performance. 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks for Shedeur Sanders. Tracy got a touchdown there. Wandale, Tracy, okay. Defense, man, honestly, Wandale Robinson should go up dev trade to be superstar. Defensively, half sack there, split, no turnovers, not a lot of crazy defense played, but a win's a win. Wow, year 1 and Shedeur gets a playoff win. It's all fine and good when you can play the Lions because Detroit's cursed. But when you move on to the next round and you got yourself staring down a team that also is kind of cursed, you feel decent about your chances. Unfortunately, we run in, much like Detroit, against a team that is ready to compete for a Super Bowl versus us as a Giants team that is ahead of schedule. Shedeur Sanders, 2 touchdowns, did have a turnover today. Our run game was not existent. Wandale is absolutely crushing it. And if Mailk Nabers can keep his superstar, Wandale better be going up to a superstar. And 2 playmakers there on the outsides. Our defense, unfortunately, did nothing here today. Will be huge for this offense's development going forward into year 2 of this rebuild. So at the end of the season, San Francisco went on to win the Super Bowl, so at least we could say we lost to the eventual Super Bowl champion. No shame in that. And at season's end, we get the Superstar Dev trade on Wandale Robinson and the Superstar Dev trade on Shedeur Sanders for winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, which is huge. That is outstanding for his development. To pair that with QB Guru, Offensive Coordinator, sky really is the limit for Shedeur, especially now that I do think it's probably going to be most beneficial for the offense to put Mailk Nabers in the slot, use Wandale as like the gadget player. Love to see maybe Theo Johnson at some point get a dev trait. But all in all, feeling pretty decent. I mean, Tracy, too, got 1,000 yards, probably flirting with a star dev increase any moment. On the defensive side of the ball, Micah McFadden goes from normal up to a star dev. I think that's the only dev trait gained. Dex Lawrence, Sexy Dexy, and Brian Burns both maintain their X factor. Not a lot of dev trait growth in that secondary, which I was kind of banking on. Landon Jackson was a hidden dev. He is ending his rookie campaign as a 78 star, which is real nice. Davenport, unfortunately, lost his dev trait, progressing from star down to a normal. But, I mean, going into the offseason, definitely could look for a 3-4 defensive end. But I think the big question mark here is with Thibodeau and Ojulari, if the right offer comes along, they're just not being utilized in our defense. Maybe we flip them for some assets. But as we start the offseason, we have a decision to make here. Deonte Banks, who's been whelming, to say the least. Maybe we'll see if we can get the kick in the ass boost and not pick up his 5th-year option. And hopefully he gets us a couple picks next season. I know that we need a lot of crazy moves for this free agent period. I'm going to try and just see if we can get Petrie. Probably should come with I'll come with a better offer. We'll go player friendly. Just because we land Petrie, we're not getting really great play out of Isaiah Simmons, so we kept as a depth move. So if we can keep Petrie at free safety, we can move Newman back to strong safety, and that should give us 3-4 years of strong safety play. We got Keaton Mitchell, just offer a little change of pace. We don't have a lot of speed in the running back room. Then we get Anton Harrison, former high round pick. I focused scouted tackles this year and didn't find one that I fall in love with. So it kind of gives us insurance if there isn't a great tackle on the board in the first or second round. That we got a developmental option, a guy with a decent ceiling. So we're able to land depth and a potential starter, but Houston coming back late. I don't really want to overpay for a safety. So we'll just kind of take these guys. Maybe it'll be low-key signings for us. So we are on the clock at pick 25. Thought about potentially trading up because we got assets, potentially if we want to move up. But we are at a spot here where, I mean, the board didn't fall great for who we're trying to chase. Like, we could look at another wide receiver. The fact that we had 2 superstars doesn't make me want to just, you know, burn and draft wide receiver right away. We did scout center and Parker Brailsford because we have John Michael Schmitz, very limited center. And Brailsford could very well offer BPA and be a day 1 starter for us. We did bring Anton Harrison in at tackle, which is good because the tackle board got absolutely cleaned up in the first 25 picks. Next need for our squad. I mean, we feel pretty good about the front 3. Overton, I kind of wish we had scouting on, just because obviously Davenport lost the dev trait this year, and we only signed him to a 2-year deal. And Overton at almost 290 could be a scheme fit for us there. And I was looking at potentially Harold Perkins as like a hybrid pass rusher linebacker. Maybe that kind of style would get us a little bit more production. Caleb Downs is still on the board. Oh my God, that might be maybe where we go. We have Keon Sabb, fully scouted out of Alabama, first-round talent. But you just know, okay, you just know, blue chip, A tackle, A hit power. Ooh. But you also know Keon Sabb's going to be good. ABA. Combine doesn't look as good, but we know he's a first-round talent. You know, I would say in terms of, let's go the more exciting guy that we properly scouted. And we'll save Caleb Downs for another one. And there we go. Keon Sabb. Save Caleb Downs. So we get Keon Sabb, number 14, a top 15 player in the draft, getting him at pick 25. And sorry, Isaiah Simmons, but you have been replaced. Second round, looking at BPA, Lander Barton, A-zone coverage at 6'4", 240, ran a 4.37. Bobby Okereke has regressed year 1 and year 2. Still producing, but maybe thinking about someone long-term at that position, especially when they're clearly the best player available left on our board. Let's see what Barton can do. Out of Utah, kind of like build-wise. 19 in true value, getting him at 50. No dev trait. That's fine because he's not going to play right away, so we have no worry about him losing that dev trait just because he might not see the field a whole lot as a rookie. So just here in the second round, we have 2 second-round picks, but I feel like this is the time to see, like, what's the open market for Ojulari first. We got dev trait tight end from the Patriots. Gabe Davis. I mean, he's expensive, but he could come in and definitely be like a wide receiver 3. I'm interested in that one. But to keep things fair and even, Kayvon Thibodeau. What do we got there? We got Tyreek Stevenson, but I'm happy with our depth at corner. We got Sidney Brown. If I didn't just draft a safety, maybe. We got Algier as a power back. Honestly, the market's... I mean, hey, everyone knows he's struggling to get 5 sacks a year. So I worked my magic a little bit. Bucks had left out... I mean, schematically, they're the only team that had within the top 3 a left outside linebacker. That's, a 3-4 left outside linebacker. So I'm going to throw Thibodeau in a 4th-round pick this year. And I wasn't actually able to get a 2nd-round pick next year. But that works out well because I'm able to get a 2nd-round pick in 2028. That's when we get into the Madden-generated classes. That's where I'm going to be really able to do my work. So I think that's the best value. 2028 picks are going to be more valuable to me as a drafter than 2027, even though they're not realistic players. Because I should be able to find maybe more cheesy, overpowered players. But Thibodeau just wasn't working out here. Now, got good value because of a different scheme. The potential is there. The ceiling is there. But I really feel like, the drop-off between Thibodeau and Ojulari as kind of that ghost pass rusher. And I use that as a negative because they just don't do anything. I don't think it's going to be a gigantic hit their defense. Our defense is Dex Lawrence and Brian Burns. So, back in the second round, we're going to go BPA. I don't love the board that's left here. We're kind of, it feels like we're picking through a graveyard. We got Lee Hunter from Central Florida, 6'5", 320. Good combine. He's like as vanilla as a pick as I can get. Felt like he was the safest selection. 81 in true value. 57 is not bad. Not expecting expectating, that's the word, right? Expectating a dev trait, which you did not get as only a normal. But I'll say what, at 320, kind of built like a nose tackle, 84 acceleration, good athlete. Third round, get a steal here. Recently transferred to my Florida Gators, Sturdivant, formerly of UCLA, 61 in true value at pick 89. Big time speed for a 6'3 wideout. And look at our draft recap. We get McAllister, who used to be at Boise State, solid playmaker, depth lineman, depth tight end. Sturdivant, 72 in the third round. Hunter, 71. Lander Barton, 75. That is outstanding value. No dev trade or whatever. Again, kind of explain how that makes sense. But a 75 in the second round, I am taking that to the bank every day of the week. And in the first round, Keon Sabb, one of the best players in the draft out of Alabama. I believe he was a Michigan transfer. But that is going to be a day one starter in our secondary. And I think him and Newby, who got 90 hit power out the gate. He's a beast. So as we start year number 2, the big change and the big thing we got to key on, not so much the offense. I expect the offense to thrive. We have Mailk Nabers moving into the slot, which should be a more favorable position for him to get his targets. But I think it's going to be the defensive side of the ball. I know he wasn't panning out, but still, it's a big trade to move on from Kayvon Thibodeau, still trading away on his rookie contract. And we essentially just came to the conclusion that we'll get the same production at Ojulari. I mean, Thibodeau got, 3.5 sacks with the highest he hit. I will be pleasantly shocked if Ojulari doesn't at least match that. Coming out of our bye, we're able to beat the Dallas Cowboys to go to 4-3, get above 500, and we are on pace, 9-8 last year. I'd love to think we could hit double digits this year, but I don't think it's a gigantic disappointment if we, go 9-8 and break even. We are, just slowly, piece by piece, building this thing here. With $133 million of salary cap, this is where it gets interesting. Because we drafted Lander Barton, and we gave McFadden a contract extension, it's one of those tough ones. We're like, we have the money to probably keep a Carricate, but he is only going to keep going down. We have Azeez Ojulari. This is the position I focus scout. I'm focus scouting defensive ends for the upcoming draft with the idea like, all right, didn't work out with Thibodeau. Yes, we went with Ojulari. And I feel like this is still enough of a light contract that I could still draft the pass rusher and wouldn't hate because, we paid him. No, it's only $5 million. And if he becomes depth because we draft someone or someone real good in the draft, we trade up for and are aggressive to go get them. I don't think that that's the kind of contract that would put us out of that. Now we have Deonte Banks, another player. I'm going to be honest, I thought he'd develop a little bit better. But height, weight, speed athlete, these are like my favorite type of corners. Let's buy into another 4 years. And at the end of year number 2, we improve our record by 2 wins. We go 11-6 to buy a second straight wild card berth. Look at our rankings. Fringe 10-ish for the offensive side of the ball. And our defense stepped it up this season. Top 10 with a top 5 passing defense. We come second place in the NFC, so still searching out for that first NFC East title, which, a little bit of bias there, but I think it's been one of the more competitive divisions in the NFL as of late. For better or for worse. It's either competitive because all kind of the teams are good, or it's competitive because the teams are all terrible and someone has to make the playoffs. But either way, that's still technically competitive. Looking at the stats, Shedeur, under 30 touchdowns is... Well, 4-7 on the ground. So 35 total, happy with that. But I definitely want those passing touchdowns to not fall below 30, if I can be honest with you. Tyler Tracy, solid season, 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns. But really surprised at that rushing production of Shedeur Sanders. 1,400 yards and 20 touchdowns. Yep, we made the right call by moving Mailk Nabers into the slot. Just get some different variety of ways to get the football here. 1,000 yards still for Wan'Dale Robinson, so that should at least maintain his superstar dev trait. Jalen Hyatt was solid. Theo Johnson was solid as well. On the defensive side of the ball, Micah McFadden and Okereke both going on our tackles. Likely Okereke's final year here. But just, kind of doing what he's done since he joined the Giants from the Colts. Just consistent football. Brian Burns, 19 sacks. Dex Lawrence with 11. 9 for Landon Jack. Again, almost seeing Ojulari down here with a half sack. Yeah, we paid him. Sure, whatever. It makes the depth chart look nice. But he highlights, that would have been Thibodeau. And we'd have been stuck paying him. Getting, just ghost defensive production. We got our 3. Landon Jackson, Dex Lawrence, and man, Brian Burns, an absolute beast. Interceptions, though, dog shit. We got some hardware. Offensive Player of the Year, Mailk Nabers. Defensive Player of the Year, Brian freaking Burns. Obviously, each one of them will double up at their position as Mailk Nabers wins wide receiver of the year and Brian Burns wins linebacker of the year. So with that, we need our stars to play like superstars to upset the 49ers here in the wildcard round. Niners have a top 5 offense, top 5 rushing defense. Luckily, we throw the football here in New York. So it could be it's a nice matchup win right there. 35-24, we take down the Niners. That's legit setting up an NFC East matchup here in the divisional round. But that is a hell of a result. Look at Shedeur Sanders, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Tyrone Tracy, 102. That wasn't that good. Mailk Nabers, that's the call. If you could take something away, if you are doing a Giants franchise in Madden 25, I don't care if it looks stupid. I don't care if clearly Wan'Dale Robinson should be in the slot. You move Mailk Nabers in the slot. Yes, you do. And you reap the benefit of that. Defensively, Dex Lawrence, sexy Dexy with 2 sacks. Landon Jackson with 1. That is a hell of a victory. Now we have the Eagles who swept us in the regular season 2-0. You know what they say. You can beat a team 2 times in one season, but no one beats a team 3 times in one season. And I don't care how okay I would be with a loss. Still annoying. Back-to-back years. Shedeur Sanders. He's two years in the NFL, and he has 2 playoff wins. That's something. But unfortunately, the Eagles are a freaking super team. We're trying to get like them. We just, Mailk, we need more weapons. Need more weapons offensively. Need these guys to continue to grow a little bit. Philly's farther along. Philly's been competing for Super Bowls for the last 10 years. Now, over the last 2, the Giants are taking football things seriously with me at the helm. We're not there yet, but Philly is the model organization. I know it's going to pain Giant fans watching this to hear me say that. But if you were a team in the NFC East, you just look at what the Eagles are doing, you look at what the Cowboys are doing, and you clearly do what the Eagles are doing and the exact opposite of what the Cowboys are doing. And I feel like we're taking some sort of blend of those two, and that's what we're applying to the Giants. But 1-1 in the playoffs again, back-to-back years. A little annoying, but we'll get there. As we clean out our lockers on year 2, the one big addition for us going into the offseason, Mailk Nabers, after winning Offensive Player of the Year with a ridiculous 20 touchdowns. Getting wide receiver of the year, he gets himself the much-deserved Superstar X-Factor increase. Obviously, Brian Burns won Defensive Player of the Year, and he already had his X-Factor, so I wish he could get double X-Factor, maybe next year. But Mailk Nabers now, he's ready. He's ready to firmly establish that's going to be his baseline. He's going to be flirting with 20 touchdowns every single year, and that's what we need. So that comes to crossroads. Do we pick up the 5th-year option for Mailk Nabers for $36 million a year? Or do we decline the player option and hope that maybe the first couple of years of that contract are less than 36? Can we get ahead? Because if we pay him at 95 overall, it's going to be cheaper than paying him at 99 overall at the end of that 5th-year contract year. So I think the smarter play here clearly is decline the 5th-year option. We're going to let Okereke walk. We're going to let Runyon walk. So we need to replace a couple starters. But I'm not worried about it. We got some depth. We can draft. Need guard, center, 3-4 defensive end. And for where we're at in our project, I don't think we're really in 1-year rental territory. So guard, center, not great. If we get Whiteheller for 1 year, and then we can wait till next year's Madden generated class to find guards, because a lot of times the sweet spot for those guys, third round, 4th round. So get Whiteheller on a rental. That should be fair. As far as 3-4 defensive ends, only play I think is someone like John Allen on a rental. Is that what we're doing? Are we really just throwing rentals out? But I feel like, we're back-to-back playoff team, and maybe bringing in some vets like this potentially could be the difference maker. And at least in Jonathan Allen's case, has the mentorship tag, so he's going to help our young defensive lineman up a little bit. I don't know if Whiteheller has that one. He does not, unfortunately. But it's not like we have anyone in the pipeline anyways for him to develop. So there we go. Couple win-now moves going into year 3 with the New York Giants. Why not? The New York Giants are on the clock here at pick 26 of the 2027 draft. And even with our free agency moves, we pretty much just signed veteran Band-Aid type players. So we still clearly need an upgrade at left guard, at center, 3-4 defensive end. So what do we have? At guard, didn't really scout that much. At center, had a couple names, and look what we found down here and Mr. Ashton Craig out of Notre Dame, a second, third round talent for UDFA. So that's a guy that we absolutely could just, play it safe. Maybe get him in the 5th round if we want to. So you feel pretty confident like that guy's going to be a decent player. We have Knapp, who's on the board. Could consider that, but we do have Wyatt Teller. On the defensive side of the ball, we scouted David Stone as a first rounder out of Oklahoma. We get a day 3 talent, so we kind of know to avoid that. Oof. We scouted the secondary of Daniel Harris. Good height, weight. 6'3", 200 pounds. A big old corner. You know he's from Georgia, so now you can run 4.32. And you're almost just gambling on the fact that, like, our secondary is solid. We don't hate our secondary, but they kind of hit their ceiling. They haven't really gone up dev trait. Interception numbers have been pretty low. So you wonder if someone like Harris. Now, the other thing is just we had Rousseau here from Alabama at number 10. I was thinking maybe, right? Because we got Ojulari not playing well. Like, is there a chance that maybe another pass rusher, we get a little bit more production out of that? And Rousseau at 10, I didn't even bother scouting because he's not still going to be there, but he slipped. So do we take the first rounder that we scouted or go with the player that I didn't think was going to be there? Why is he still? I'm going to guess there's a reason why he is falling. So we are going to select Daniel Harris, corner out of Georgia. And I'm going to guess the guy at 6'3" that runs a 4.3 is not going to be a normal depth trade. Plus, he goes to Georgia, gets the school bump. Number 24 in True Value, getting him at 20. All right, so into the second round, blind picking here. I got 2 players, but A.J. Allen from Miami has the A carrying, which is a little bit interesting. I just don't know out of my position right now that I want to pay Tyrone Tracy. I don't think we're getting the production that is worthy of a second contract. I think if we could just kind of keep that running back room a churning until we find maybe another Saquon Barkley out of nowhere, that's going to be the best course. I'm just like roster building, cheap running backs. And we get number 59 in True Value at 58, so I don't hate that one bit. Good speed, but damn, no dev trade again. In the third round, need a guard still. Maybe an understudy for Wyatt Teller. We got Teron Tayo from Ball State, 56 in True Value, getting him at pick 90. And there's the dev trade. What? Not gonna lie, I knew he had B pass block, A pass block finesse. He's a pass protector archetype, which is what our guards are. All right, cool. Ball State producing hidden dev players. Now in the fourth, I'm just not gonna play around. We got a good find here. A run block, B pass block, UDFA at Notre Dame. And look at the combine. Like, he clearly is the best center. Why do we make that guy draftable? Number 65 in True Value at 122. Ashton Craig and a dev trait. Here I was thinking I have to wait the Madden generated classes to cheese some interior linemen. Psych! We could do it with these ones too. So we came into this draft with a couple needs. But I think because of how we handled free agency, didn't have to hit on those needs. Still, we're able to be aggressive here. We got Ashton Craig, hidden dev, 72 center, day 1 starter. We have Tayo, 72 hidden dev, guard, going to be an understudy for the 1-year deal that we brought in, Wyatt Teller. We got A.J. Allen, and that is just cover if we decide to go somewhere at running back other than Tyrone Tracy. And then what we thought was BPA in the first round, Daniel Harris at corner, 74 normal. Now, I saw the Cleveland Browns selected that pass rusher that we debated blind picking, Rousseau. Now, usually I don't like peeking at what other ratings are, but this one here, I was curious, and I think I would have been pretty happy with a 73 hidden dev pass rusher with 90 acceleration. We botched that one. We're now on our way here at year number 3 at the midseason poll. We put up almost 60 on the Dallas Cowboys. We are better. The Cowboys are actually down bad a little bit right now. I think they're like at 84 overall. We're 87. And then we took on a Buffalo Bills team who's actually a higher overall rated than us. And we showed we can win big against divisional rivals and win tight against potential Super Bowl matchups. We're 6-2 on the season. And off of that Bills, we actually had a Player of the Week performance from Drew Phillips. 2 interceptions. One of those was a pick 6. Hell yeah. And it looks like Dak Prescott played a much better game, so Dallas is bouncing back. But I think this is a great opportunity now that vibes are high at 6-2. Let's look at the contracts. We've been conscientious with our money. Like, we have budgeted, I think, fairly well. Haven't really also been put in a tough predicament because we've been operating on, well, I guess dead money from Daniel Jones' contract, but we haven't had an expensive quarterback. So, well, we have John Allen, Wyatt Teller. They were 1-year rentals, so they did their job. Theo Johnson's been solid, but the fact that there's no re-sign interest, I don't know if him being Canadian is going to be enough. I'll offer him this. I'll take a neutral offer on a player that is very low interest. If he takes it, let's go. If not, I'm not that patriotic right now. Tyron Tracy, I don't want to pay a running back at all in this rebuild, so I think we're going to let both of them walk. Tyler Newman, on the other hand, has developed nicely, and while no one in our secondary has really popped off, we haven't had anyone, I don't think, over 2 interceptions, I think we're due. And maybe Newman can be one of those players. We have Drew Phillips coming off a huge game. I think we got to lock him in. I'm looking for a 5-year deal. 5-year, $31.5 million for one of the steals of the 2024 NFL draft. Now we get Sexy Dexy. He's pretty much in blank check territory. So let's see if we can get him on a 4-year, $173 million deal. Let's go. And I mean, in real life, he doesn't play like a nose tackle. He gets sacks. And honestly, he does pretty damn good in Madden as well. That's a very accurate sim scheme combo that we got going on. And then we have Mailk Nabers, who's the offensive version of, here's a blank check. I mean, we have, what, 7 years left of this rebuild? At the most, right? Minimum of 5, maximum of 10. We're done 3. No, this is year 4. So yeah, 6th year. We'll take him here to the end of the rebuild in case we have to go a full 10. Easy call. Another big time performance, 2-game win streak, beating the Commanders, pumped the Rams. The Rams are like, they were an 86 overall team. And in that performance, we get Sexy Dexy, who we have just recently made an even richer man. He's happy. He's in a good place. 2-sack performance in the dominating defensive victory. So at the end of year 3, we go 12-5. Oh, surely that's good enough to finally win in NFC East. Nope, Philly goes 13-4. That goal needs to wait for another season. But we ended with a top 5 offense, even though our yards and rushing yards aren't S tier by any means. And our defense, very good. 3rd overall defense, 9th against the pass, 5th against the run. Just not a whole lot going. We finished with a lot of momentum. Almost another 50 pop on Dallas like last year. 35-24 over the Jets. We actually get a player of the week in this one, and it is Brian Burns with 3 sacks, the reigning defensive player of the year. Can he repeat? Let's find out. Ooh, love seeing that. Shedeur Sanders, top 10 in passing touchdowns. Has struggled to go over 30, goes 36. And just under 4,000 yards passing on the season. Rushing definitely down a little bit. I'll be honest with you. I'll take 35-plus touchdowns. Kind of nerfing his rushing stats a little bit every season if we got it. Tyron Tracy, in what is likely his final year as a Giant, does go over 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns. Mailk Nabers continues to be an elite weapon. Just under 100 total receptions, 1,400 yards, 16 touchdowns, 1,006 for Wan'Dale Robinson. Theo Johnson, I wish he had interest in re-signing, and I like as many Canadians as I possibly can feature in my content. However, off his best season with 600 yards and 8 touchdowns, you go, nah, I'm good. So that's a little bit brutal. But hey, maybe that final period before free agency starts, that interest meter's up, because I definitely will come back hat in hand looking for a re-sign opportunity. Over 100 tackles for McFadden. Look at the sacks. Brian Burns, 21.5, 17.5 for Dexter. We got something going here. This might be the first good 3-4 defense we've had. 7.5 from Landon Jacks. I mean, we did also kind of brutalize Kayvon Thibodeau to not having any value on the defense. So it's not a perfect 3-4. I don't think any is. But the fact that our elite players are actually playing elite, that is awesome. Drew Phillips leads the team with 4 picks. That's our first player that we had to go over 2 interceptions in a year. So I like seeing that. As far as bringing home hardware, Aiden Hutchinson beats out Brian Burns. 21.5 sacks doesn't get you Defensive Player of the Year anymore. That's interesting. We have a couple bridesmaids. Evan Neal, runner-up for Lineman of the Year, goes from bust at tackle, move him inside the guard, and now he's one of the best linemen in the league. Sexy Dexy at number 3 for D Lineman of the Year. Brian Burns does repeat as linebacker of the year, and Drew Phillips is runner-up for DB of the year. How many sacks did Hutchinson have to beat out Brian Burns' 21.5? Oh. All right. Congrats on your award. So as you look at the first round of the playoffs, there's no way we lose to a 7-10 win team. How bad was the West? Good God. They're actually not brutal. Top 10 rushing offense, top 10 defense. Ooh, I don't know. This would be, I'd probably end the rebuild if we don't win this one. 7-10 making the, that is rare. And we barely win. We win, which is good. But barely winning is not giving me the boost of confidence that maybe we have what it takes to go on and win it all this year. But against a, we'll phrase it, tricky 7-win Cardinals with a great defense. They definitely shut down Shedeur Sanders. It looks like our defense did the same. Look at that. 3 rushing touchdowns by all of our upcoming free agents. They did a great job shutting down Mailk Nabers. Our defense, Barton and Burns getting after the QB. Keon Sabb with an interception. It's an ugly win. It's definitely not going to be a win that's going to, you know, get some artwork around the Giants facilities for the epicness of it. But it could spur, you know, a run. We could get a run here. Now we have at home the Commanders. We've gone 1-1, 3 straight seasons in the playoffs. We are a better overall team than the Commanders. It is Jaden Daniels against Shedeur Sanders. Oh my God, our number 4 offense. Number 4. We did not play like it. That is 15 points. Oh man, I mean, Shedeur played well. Run game was kind of negated on both sides. Mailk Nabers was easily the best wide receiver on the field today. How did we lose this one? Like same amount of sacks, no turnovers in each. Damn. As far as dev traits are concerned, as we are cleaning our lockers year 3, another disappointing 1-1 playoffs, I was on the fence, and I think if Tyron Tracer got off that normal dev and got up to a star, I think I would offer him a contract extension. He did not, so that kind of stinks. Wan'Dale Robinson also lost his superstar dev, which is, I mean, he's not that old to start regressing because of age, and he went over 1,000 yards, so I think that's a little bit harsh. But it's Mailk Nabers' offense, so it's not that big of a deal. I thought, honestly, Theo Johnson had a chance to go up dev trade. He had his most productive year, and he went up. Maybe I'd go back to Taylor for him. But we did get 1 dev trade gain on the defense. No one lost any dev trade, and we gained a superstar on Drew Phillips. Led the team with 4 interceptions. Is kind of the leader of the secondary. I think much like Mailk Nabers, it's going to be the best interest of the long-term health of this team to decline the 5th-year option on Shedeur Sanders and get ahead of the long-term contract extension. I will say I thought twice about this. Jahmyr Gibbs, 26-year-old, 95 superstar running back. I got a lot of salary cap. But this is a rebuild that could go 10 years. And while I don't think it will, because we have a talented team, if we got to think about long-term and the Shedeur Sanders contract, and at any point when we have to pay Shedeur, probably what, $300+ million, I don't think there's any way that we can also justify paying $16.5 to a freaking running back. So for free agency, I'm going with a little bit of a sleeper signing. Want to be conscientious about our salary cap, while also realizing we need like a piece or two to get over the hump. 1-1, we are a playoff caliber team. Maybe not a Super Bowl contender, but I definitely think we're a team that could get hot and go on a run. Well, that being said, there's just not a lot that I like. I want a 3-4 defensive end, right? Jonathan Allen was a bandit. I'd like to get like a big, long-term guy there. And you got a Lee McNeil, but like he's always kind of been a nose tackle. Jordan Davis is there. I mean, you could sign one of these guys and then move Dexter Lawrence to one of those defensive end spots. He's playing like a DM, but I think that might mess up like that thing. We can't F with what's going on with Brian Burns' Dexter Lawrence. It's working on the depth chart. I'm going to leave it as is. So that being said, I mean, you look at our outside linebackers. Brian Burns is not getting any younger, and Azeez Ojulari has just kind of been a role player. So I think with our salary, the fact Dallas Turner just never had an opportunity to start in the Vikings defense. 25 years old, 78 overall, 90 speed, 92. Like that's just a high upside player. I think Azeez Ojulari's had a contract next year, so we just, hey, there's our replacement for that long term. Easy, smart business. So for the draft, now that we're into the generated draft class, I feel a little more confident that we can find our guys, and we got one steal out here already, in Orlando Simon at tight end. Tight end is the position that we need after letting Theo Johnson walk. Now, it wasn't crazy fine because he was easily the fastest tight end, and I'm not going to lie, I just looked at the tight ends, and only one of these guys ran a 4.5? Okay, let's focus scout him. Surprise, surprise, very good. So that is going to be a guy that we maybe potentially reach for. And again, I look for elite traits. If you have elites, I'm going to check you out. And we got Aaron Jackson here in the slot, especially with Wan'Dale Robinson losing a dev trait. I don't think it'd be a terrible idea because we're going to have a second-round pick. We have 2 second-round picks to kind of figure it out a little bit. And with Jackson having elite acceleration and agility, that 20-yard shuttle, outstanding, 3.88. He's certainly high up on our draft board. I focus scouted, and this is not usually the smartest thing, running backs. Now, I was hoping I'd have a lot of the true talents unveiled. Couldn't get that role, but I thought just to play it safe, let's at least check out the first round. He didn't look anything too special. I'm kind of surprised that he's a top 5 talent with 3 Bs and a D, but he does have elite acceleration, has elite jumping, has great in the speed department. So finding him out as a top 5 true talent, he likely should still be there. I'm not going to trade up for a running back, but if he falls into our lap at the end of the first round, definitely have to consider it. But I'm going to be honest, I have a plan that I kind of want all 3. And I think we have a first rounder and 2 second round picks. And our first second round pick is at 16. So there's a chance, if we play the board well, we could potentially get them all. But this is going to be the first big hurdle. It is. He's still on the board. Cam Herrick out of Tennessee. Let's do it. Come on. Is that what we're missing? Is this like the curse of Saquon Barkley? We got to bring back another elite running back to be the missing piece for this offense. And I don't want to say Tyron Tracy was hurting the offense, but look at that Herrick. Number 2 in true value, getting him at pick 27. Let's go, 90. Why? And at pick 16 in the second round, falling right into our lap, is Aaron Jackson. Elite burst. One of the best agility I've seen at a wide receiver in a minute. 24th in true value, getting him at 48. There's the depth tree. That 96 acceleration, 97 agility, 94 change of direction. Doesn't have like maybe the straight line burst speed, but I think he's going to be a hell of a player for us. And we don't have to draft the tight end yet. I think we can get him in the 3rd round. So I'm going to look here at Trey Hughes on the D-line. I'm a sucker for a finesse move. And a lot of times when you get these like sub 300-pound D tackles, right, they'll have a finesse move, but they have like F in power. The fact that he has C in power, C in block shed, B in tackle, elite speed, elite acceleration, great change of direction, good strength with 35 reps at his pro day. I smell a B. Oh, I knew I smelled a B. 16th in true value at number 59. And there, the dev traits are flowing now. Of course, my top 5 overall player couldn't get one. All right, this is pretty much clearing out our board. But I think after this selection, it's kind of like the, walk-off home run. We've cleared the board of all the studs. 29th in true value. Getting him at 91. But another dev trait player at 6'5", giving us great, pretty much a Theo Johnson replacement. And it's all fun and games when we're using the realistic classes, right? Those are getting notable players. Those are getting guys that if you watch and pay attention to college football, you're going to recognize these guys in these videos. And sometimes maybe 2-3 years down the line, those players actually end up getting drafted to the teams. That's what we've seen out of all the years of realistic rebuilds. It's always kind of cool when that happens. But my bread and butter is once we get into the generated classes, we go and have some fun. We got a 70 overall running back. Nice little power back late. Kind of pad our stats if you're taking the overall. But the picks that we made that we felt good about. Simon, 74 with a hidden dev. He's going to be a day 1 starter. Hughes, we might have to find a way to get him on the field. We were talking about we need to find a 3-4 pass rusher on that D-line. And Trey Hughes is that perfect option. Let's see if actually his rating might go up. And almost in this case, usually doesn't go up, but if it doesn't go down, that is a win within itself. So moving from D-tackle, defensive end, he goes from 75 to a 75. We'll take that. Aaron Jackson, 75 overall with a dev trait. And Herrick, number 2 overall player. Top 5 talent, 77 overall, normal freaking dev trait. So that's a little bit of a bummer. But, he'll be put in he'll either be put in a position where he doesn't get the ball a lot and it doesn't matter because if he had a dev trait, it would just get regressed away. Or he elevates the offense and he'll get offensive rookie of the year and go up dev trait anyway. So we got Aaron Jackson here. Man, he has an interesting build. 84 juke, 87 spin, 69 break tackle, carrying ball carrier vision, change of direction, agility off the charts, acceleration off. Like he literally is like a Wanda. Like he's got, what would his rating be at running back? I'm curious. 75 overall wide receiver. I'm gonna do it. Just let me entertain me. It could go down. It could be off base. 7. Let's see, but it might also not be. Ooh. I'm just going to leave it like this, I guess. I'll say this. On one hand, I hate the fact that I drafted a running back in the first round. And then, technically, if this is how we let it play out, drafted a running back in the second round. Terrible misuse of resources. However, this 99 Excel, I don't think I have ever got this many points on this drill. That might be a Hall of Fame #1 all time. So I think we got ourselves 2 running backs. The big get for this team going into year number 4 is we have, I don't know, Odell probably reached it. But Mailk Nabers enters year 4, 25 years old, 99 overall. He's going to be one of them dudes, man. That's probably going to be 99 in most attributes. Absolute cheat code. So because of what is looming, we're going to play this season with a little bit of strategy. It's only week 3, but I do want to enter contract negotiations because it's Shedeur Sanders. The longer we wait, if he ends up this season, even at midseason, a couple more weeks, 94, 95 overall, that price tag is going to go up. Coming off his best season. Yeah. Oh, he wants more. So 270, 280. You have him 277, 280 probably gets that done. Brian Burns, absolute cheat code. You'll get paid. Locked in. Landon Jackson, he's going to be a tough one. He kind of is like a piece of the puzzle. Look at the rest of our starters. Not a whole lot we have to worry about. Special teamers, sure. Anton Harrison's been serviceable as a starter, but certainly not irreplaceable. Ojulari, we brought in Dallas Turner. But I do kind of feel like Landon Jackson. Let's pay Sanders first, because, he's been like 6-7 sacks. Maybe he's the piece that makes Dex Lawrence, Sexy Dexy, and Brian Burns work. We'll see how much money's left over after we pay Shedeur. Just to flex a little bit, week 3, Lions, big dog team, beat the brakes off them, 28-14. Again, the price is going up the longer we wait on Shedeur Sanders, so we'll round those numbers up here. What does that bring us? 280? Maybe something like that. 283? Let's go. So with that, we got Landon Jackson. This is a tough one because it's not insane money. And he's 25, so he still has pretty good football ahead of him. And he's just been reliable. 9 sacks, 7 sacks, has 4 sacks this year. But the argument, and it could be a valid argument, is that we need 3. We need 3 to get it going, right? 3 players. 2 of them obviously are elite playmakers. And Landon Jackson is a productive third, right? Larry, Curly, and Mo, the 3 stooges, if you will. Well, if 3's all that it works, we just drafted a 75 hidden depth. Can he be the 3? I feel like he might be. And I feel like that is like counteracting the dumbness of drafting a running back in the first and second round now, is making the smart decision with the finances on the defensive line. I think Hughes can step up into that Landon Jackson role in that rookie contract. So then of year number 4, we've kind of gone on like an upward trajectory. Year number 1, 9-8. Year 2, 11-6. Year 3, 12-5. Year 4, 13-4. And we get our very first NFC East title of the rebuild. Unfortunately, not good enough to get the 1 seed. Seattle's kind of cooking up something big there on the West Coast. And looking at our rankings, offensively, points in passing for Shedeur, how much we paid him. You probably like to see it be the 4th best passing offense and a little bit less on the rushing. But hey, we also invested a first, second round pick in running back, and now we have magically a top 5 rushing offense. Feel pretty good with that. Number 1 overall defense. Everything's looking pretty good for the Giants this year, man. We are dangerous in year 4. So other rankings, Shedeur Sanders, 30 passing touchdowns, 7 picks, 4,000 yards. Again, that's like the basement. You don't want to go much lower than that. That's not a bad season. 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns for Aaron Jackson, 4-4 for Shedeur. Herrick was our power back. Had to let him get out there from time to time. He got another 6 rushing touchdowns. So, 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns from our first and second round pick. Not brutal. Also, not necessarily getting Saquon Barkley numbers. We've seen the last couple years, last couple of Maddens, Saquon Barkley is one of the most overpowered running backs going. It's still the same Brian Dable offense. So theoretically, we could potentially unlock that with Aaron Jackson, who is a superstar dev already and might have played himself in the Offensive Rookie of the Year, which could let him flirt with a red boy there for the dev trade and all superstar X Factor. But even with the exciting young playmaker, the offense still runs through Mailk Nabers, who had almost 1,300 yards and 16 touchdowns. Just an absolute beast. 1,000 yards for Wan'Dale Robinson, 7 and 6 for the rookie Orlando Simon. So that's better than any season we had with Theo Johnson. Much of that pains me to say, to kind of throw the Canadian on their bus. Made the right call not paying him and drafting Simon there. And yeah, he's Sturdivant. And that should say College Florida. Hell of a job as our wide receiver 3. Because our wide receiver 3 was supposed to be Jackson. But I think, we're fine. No harm, no foul there. On the defensive side of the ball, sacks dipped just a little bit. 11.5 for Brian Burns. But, he's getting older too. 11 from Dex Lawrence. He's getting older. Landon Jackson with 6.5. 4.5 from Dallas Turner. Sucks that Hughes didn't get any, as he's supposed to be a replacement. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that. 4 picks for Cordell Flott. Good for him. Brian Daboll gets his second Coach of the Year award. Obviously got one in real life. And our first of the rebuild. Oh, that's brutal. Rarely we would get the superstar to X Factor, but there's a chance, and we're not even going to have that opportunity. So it's team success over individual success, as everybody on the 91 overall Giants is focused on getting wins, because unfortunately none of them got any hardware outside of our head coach. So let's take out that on the Eagles, who have beat us in the playoffs. Send us home. Send us packing. In years past, and we get the dub. 28-17, a player of the week performance here. Brian Burns, 4 sacks. Said he was slowing down. Said he was getting older. Only 11.5 sacks this year. Last 2 years prior, he's challenged and flirted with breaking the single season record. He goes, oh yeah, I'll just drop 4 on your favorite team, you asshole. And with that, we got the 13-4 Rams into the divisional round. Look at the tail of the tape. Number 2 offense. Very good passing offense. So no, we're not going to mess around here. We're going to make sure all of our players, hopefully a couple stars. Oh, none more important than Shedeur Sanders. We're going to take him up. He's a 99 with the boost, but base 95 overall. Has certainly panned out. Again, last realistic rebuild. Talked about at the tip of the video. We did Quinn Ewers. And I believe we did win a Super Bowl with that one, but he never became anything special. And we kind of all know now Quinn Ewers, probably not even the best quarterback on his team. Shedeur Sanders is taking this Giants team farther and higher levels, more potent levels in this rebuild than we did with Quinn Ewers and our very first realistic rebuild a couple months ago. But it is put her up or shut up time, because we have gone to the playoffs 3 straight years, 1-1 in all those years. Is this year going to be any different? Or are we still missing the je ne sais quoi to put it all together for this team? No, not this year. And the Giants are NFC Championship game bound against the 1 seed. It is the 2 top teams meeting up. They're the reason why we didn't get that first round bye. They're the reason why we're rocking and rolling, man. We got that momentum. And it was a game that, quiet from Shedeur Sanders. Didn't turn the ball over. Our rushing offense was on point. Aaron Jackson, the rookie out of Texas, runner-up for Offensive Rookie of the Year. 73 yards, 2 touchdowns. We got on the defensive side of the ball some oh yeah, look at that, man. 1.5 Dallas Turner, sack for McFadden, Burns, Jackson, Dexy, Trey Hughes. Any picks? Might as well. Hell yeah, it's the superstar Drew Phillips. And this is a terrific opportunity. Not only do we get to truly see who the best team in the NFC is, there is no Kansas City Chief or Baltimore Raven that we got to worry about. Could be an all-New York Super Bowl. We just have to hold up our end of the bargain by taking down the 1 seed in the Seattle Seahawks, who in the hell is their quarterback? They have the number 1 passing offense, and clearly they have a successor. Is it Sam Howell? Did they say okay. Didn't plan that. Quinn Ewers. Potentially the reason why I got to redo this video. Because I did a Quinn Ewers, and now he's not even going in the first round. He's probably going to transfer and not even be in this draft. Okay. Good to know. Now there's a little bit of rivalry there. Hopefully they're going to be on the wrong side of this rivalry, and the Giants in year 4 of a minimum 5, maximum 10-year rebuild are going to a Super Bowl. And we're holding up our end of the bargain of an all-New York Super Bowl as the Buffalo Bills kick the shit out of that's not, yeah, clearly not the Giants. Clearly that's the Colts. 45-20. We got a player of the week performance, not indicator. Ooh. This is an interesting one. Because that's not a crazy stat line offensively. But usually if a quarterback gets player of the week, they're not on the losing team. I don't feel good about this. All right. We deserve that. Wow. 2 rushing touchdowns each. DK had a day. I mean, they did. I do think definitely a common theme in our losses has been shutting down Mailk Nabers. Like, he's never had a big game in a loss for us. He was with 2 sacks. I mean, we got 3-1 on the sack ratio. I mean, we have an elite defense. Elite defenses with a Super Bowl on the line don't give up 35 points. That's what it is. As we retool to figure out how we can make a goddamn Super Bowl. Looking at the offense, we need a right tackle. We're going to let Anton Harrison walk. Everything else, we feel pretty good. Like, I even think you can make the argument, like, at Sturdivant at wide receiver, that's fine. At 81, you can get by on an 81. We have a dynamic running back, get a tackle, run it back. Defensively, we had Cordell Flott, he's been here since the very beginning, finally just showing random development, going up to a superstar now. We have Hughes who's going to take over for Landon Jackson, and hopefully just be part of that, like, Bermuda Triangle of 3 pass rushers that we got rocking and rolling. I like the linebackers. Dallas Turner hopefully keeps playing well. And I mean, even to like complete the depth chart, Hunter as a 76, that's fine, knowing that he's just not going to produce because they never produce anyways. We're going to go in this offseason like we need a tackle, and then everything else is kind of BPA. I'm going to be honest with you, free agency is not the role that we need in terms of just like, hey, is there anybody out there that can get me to kind of go off the path of what our team needs? Grant Barton's the only one because I know he played tackle. He played everywhere on the offensive line. Like, he could bring him in and maybe throw him in at right tackle, and at only $10 million a year. And he is interested. But are you interested in playing tackle, good sir? Just because I'm going to try it. Another reason why I am going to try it, and look, there's other offers. We're probably not going to get them. It's just because there's not the likelihood that there's going to be a tackle available where we pick in the first round. Sometimes you can get that role where like a 70+ tackle is projected to go in like the first 10 picks of the second round. But for the most part, tackles and edge rushers, you need a good one. You got to get them early. I scouted the tackles that were projected to go in the first round that could potentially be in our range or wouldn't be an expensive trade up. Caleb Griffin, who's projected, top 25, so it's not that far away. And of course, absolute bust. 3rd, 4th round talent, shouldn't belong there. And I got 2 right tackles, more of the same. Not first round talents. So the pivot here is to then maybe blind pick some of these bigger guards that could easily, theoretically, have the size to play tackle. Like we have Mac Whitting, 6'6", 330. He could do it. Griffin at 6'5", 312 could do it. 6'4", 340. That's a little bigger, but we're going to have to blind pick somebody, I think. So waiting till pick 30 of the 2029 draft, and I think that's what we need to do. We're going to need to look at and just see, do we got like an athlete on the interior? 6'2", 300, that's a little small. 6'5", 310 for Tony Whitley. What do you got? Double A, double B. What's combine? Good bench. Ooh. Good elite agility, change direction, jumping, and strength. 39 reps. You, sir, could play tackle. Ebert. Okay, the top center already went off the board. We have Whitting from Texas. Just a lot less information, not as good of a combine. This dude from Georgia could also absolutely play tackle at 6'5", 312. B, run block. A, awareness. Combine. Not as good, but still brings elite strength, 40 reps on the bench press, elite change of direction. I don't think there's really a bad pick here, but I'm liking the athlete of Tony Whitley. I feel like at worst, he's a guy that built like a tackle. I'm going to say with that, physicals should have a dev trait. Could only be like a 72 or something like that. Fine, whatever. We need someone that can develop at right tackle and protect Shedeur Sanders and Whitley, number 13 in true value, getting him at pick number 30. And there's the dev trait. That's a nice athlete. And we're blind pick, so we're chasing athletes. I never hate when we're in blind pick territory. And we got Daniel Canover, B-zone, elite acceleration, great speed, 4.5 speed. Gives us some depth at linebacker. Draft athletes. How you blind pick. Okay, damn it. Just skipped that over. But that kicker we got at 190, hidden dev kicker. Wasn't like generational. But yeah, 97 kickback, because I don't have a kicker or a punter. And now we need to find who can be the best punter here. So can we blind pick a punter? Okay, great. We're not getting any of that information. So what we're going to need to do is look at attributes. We have A, kick accuracy. On Winters. What is your kick power? Poor. Oh, no. B on Donnell Turner. B, accuracy. Poor. Oh, no. What about Jake Daniels? Do we have one of these has an arm? There we go. Elite kick power on Daniels. Sure. Give me at least something good. You can boom it. Even if you kick it out the stadium every time. Look at that. Almost a top 50 player, baby. As you see, look at our driver gap. 72 for Daniels. Montgomery we got in the 6th round. 72 hidden dev. 97 power kicker out of Washington. So happy that we're able to kind of retool. Just get cheap special teams going out there. Canover, 75 at the ass end of the 2nd round is outstanding value. And here we go. We got Tony Whitley, hidden dev. And does your rating? Agile. Now, agile, I don't think schematically what we look for at tackle. Well, let's see if his rating shifts any. Sometimes guards can lose a rating, lose a point or two, and he does. So, I mean, maybe an appropriate punishment for trying to cheese the system here a little bit, trying to get a guard to play tackle. There's going to be a little bit of a ratings hit, but we still got I'll still take a 73 hidden dev tackle at pick 30 in the 1st round, given that's our biggest need every day of the week. I know it's the regular season, but the fact that Seattle is down this bad after knocking us out in the NFC Championship game, 1-4. Quinn Ewers, the man that we did our very first Giants realistic reel with, decided it wasn't good enough, had to retry it. There's a little bit of a battle there. I think we just, let's get front row seats for this one. Play the moments, hop in maybe for a drive or two. Treat it almost like a Super Bowl, because they're 1-4. This would be a great little revenge, and just put them in the dirt this year so we don't have to run into them again in the playoffs. Let's go. It's pouring rain. Classic. Should we wish he can run the ball better. Seattle strikes first. Look at that. We go right down the field, and we're trading points. We score, they score. Look at this. I think we just got too much for them. But they are 1-4. I mean, the inverse of this. I think we can, try to put them away. They go 1-5. But it's kind of the inverse of what's happening here. Is that if they beat us, the 4-1 Giants, maybe that kickstarts their season. And we kind of offer them a life vest here versus making sure they go down with the ship. Boom. Oh, that's PI! Zach Bond, PI. God bless that bald, beautiful man, but wow. All right. I think we all know how this is going to end. We'll see them in the championship. All right, we're on a 3-game losing streak. 4-4 at the midway point of year number 5. Maybe paying some players is what will make some of these guys happy. And looking at what we have here, one starter that I think has to get signed is Andrew Thomas, franchise tackle. So we'll get him there across the line. However, $12 million remaining. Do not think we have enough for either Barton or Micah McFadden. I mean, we drafted Conover, the hidden dev linebacker. There's one replacement, and then I could go in the draft next year and try to target another linebacker. So we'll keep whatever little salary cap we have. The regular season has wrapped up, and we get 2 really, really strong wins against Philly and the Detroit Lions to finish the season 12-5. So not quite as good as last year, but still feel real confident about our 91 overall team, led by our 93 overall offense. Now, our defense, number 1 defense in the league. Our offense, not bad, but also probably underwhelming for the ratings across the board. But we do win our 2nd straight NFC East. If you know anything about the NFC East, the curse that it's been like 25 years since the teams won back-to-back, that is a nice little accomplishment for the New York Giants, but easily just a drop in the bucket of the big goal that we want to try to achieve, which is a Super Bowl win. But we definitely have the team to do so this year. Looking at our stats, Shedeur Sanders under the polarization. Is that actually a word? I know you can use it to describe like glasses. But does that describe why Shedeur can always get 40 touchdowns and then just out of the blue, nothing really changes? And now he got 27. The hell is going on there? Aaron Jackson, 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. So again, still not unlocking that Saquon Barkley level of running back play in the Giants offense. Mailk Nabers is incredible. He's happy at least. 98 catches, 1,700 yards, and 20 touchdowns. 8-3 for Wandale, 6-3 for Sturdivant. Signed with 500 yards, no touchdowns. So passing offense, very suspect. The number one defense in the league, led by Micah McFadden. We got 14.5 sacks, Brian Burns, 12.5 Dex Lawrence, 12.5 for Trey Hughes. So the pass rush is on point, 5.5, 10 TFLs for Dallas Turner is solid as well. Interception numbers, Deonte Banks finally leading this team after being a first-round pick 7 freaking years ago. I'm happy. That looks like a number one defense on paper. Brian Abel gets another Coach of the Year award, his third of his career. Mailk Nabers is Offensive Player of the Year. So the first round of the playoffs, we get the San Francisco 49ers, who record-wise shouldn't be worried about it, especially given that it is a home game. However, they were an 88 overall across the board. So they have talent. Do they have the scheme nowadays? And, well, that answers that one. 42-17. Seattle lost. I mean, I would like to run that back and beat them. Kind of triumph them a little bit, but, you know, they're a team that seemingly has our number, and we get to avoid them, which could honestly be a win. But for this 49er game, 42-17, a game where Shedeur Sanders was very, very efficient. 250, 3 touchdowns. The run game was on point. Mailk Nabers continues to be an absolute cheat code. And defensively, second half for Burns and Dex. Trey Hughes getting after it. Just this pass rush. Too much. We got that momentum we don't have to worry about. Seattle. We got KC still on the other side. We still got Baltimore on the other side. So it'll be nice in a perfect world for Denver and Pittsburgh, so we don't have to deal with one of the annoying headache teams. We got Green Bay's the 1 seed in the NFC. Not overly worried with the field at play. We have Atlanta here in the division round at home. I mean, that's a damn good sim-built team. 89 overall, 92 offense. The number 2 offense in the league. Number 1 rushing offense. A top 10 overall defense. They got Bijan Robinson doing the damn thing. We'll show them the ultimate respect. That is upgrading our players before the matchup, because we'll take any advantage we possibly can get. Mailk Nabers, I think we just get max points. Can't spend anything else. He's literally a perfect wide receiver. And hopefully he goes off here at home against the I'd love to see a 2-3 touchdown performance. Another 40 bomb. Well, we win. Wasn't a 40 bomb. Wasn't as convincing of a win, but hey, it's Mailk Nabers. 9 catches, 151 yards. The hat trick of touchdowns. Chico. I mean, again, if you could take anything from my rebuilds that you could apply to what you're doing in your own life, and if you're watching this, it's like, I want to do the Giants. They're the worst team. They're going to have the best pick. Mailk Nabers in the slot. That is your cheat code. That is your tip and trick that you could carry from this. 24-21, 14 of Atlanta's 21, came in the fourth. So we almost choked that, or that was garbage time. But look at that. Another just clean performance from Shedeur Sanders. 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Mailk Nabers is Mailk freaking Nabers. And defensively, not as much of a pass rush. Micah McFadden, in his last run as a Giant, gets a nice interception. The championship game is set. Okay, I mean, AFC side looks a little annoying, but at least here, don't have to worry about the big dogs. We got Tampa. That should be a winnable game. Okay, so look at that. What the Bucs are dealing with. 85 overall, so we are 6 overall points better as a team. They have the number 2, so this should be a low-scoring game. Number 1 defense against the number 2 defense in the league. Who says defense doesn't win championships? But I do think offensively we have a gigantic advantage. Almost 10 points. And we barely beat them. Wow. Beat them! Let's get, okay, we got to get hype. Perspective is everything. Yeah, we got to play the Chiefs, who just always put up 50 points. Whatever. We got to a Super Bowl. Went to overtime. Not a great showing by Shedeur, but did enough to find a way to win. Look at the run game. Jackson was solid. Mailk Nabers goes over 100 yards because what else? Defensively, Brian Burns with 2 sacks. I mean, they're not all going to be pretty. But we're going to have to play a lot better than we have our last 2 games. We're going to play like we did against the Niners if we want to have any chance against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Let's go! Super Bowl against the Chiefs. There you go. That's the picture right there. That's what it's going to come down to. Older Mahomes, who's still Mahomes, against the new era of Shedeur Sanders. I like our chances. And as always, we're going to treat the Super Bowl like any other. We're going to sit back, play the moments, but at any point, things get cheesy. We have 3 opportunities we can cash in guilt-free to try to help our team. And it's never guilt-free. There's no sense of guilt when you're playing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. This is the final boss. This is the cheesiest thing you go up against. And we go into halftime with a lead. Kansas City opens the second half there with a touchdown. Third down. Here we go. First time cashing in. It's like a lifeline in, what was that show? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? That's what we do. We cash one of our lifelines in. Where's Nabers? Nabers in the slot. I don't like that. That's kind of a longer developing route. Let's go to the tight end right there. Across midfield. Hey, Shedeur. Not like he's front running for an MVP. 150 yards and a touchdown. It's been a low scoring game. Come on. Finish this one off, fellas. Boom. There we go. 3 minutes to go. Is it going to be Mahomes' magic to tie this one up? Yo, Josh! Suck it, Patty. Let's go. We did it. And again, I reiterate, we're technically 6 years into this. I don't know how much better I can make this team. Our players, I think we definitely could run it back for one more year because we're not really losing much. We're losing 2 starting linebackers. So everyone would have another year of development. We could probably be like a 95 overall. But like our team is pretty maxed out. Like if you put this in the context of like college football, we got skill caps. Our team's pretty much at the ceiling of our skill caps. And I'm happy. Like that's the best way to win it right there. All right. If you're gonna take a bunch of years to win a Super Bowl, especially with Shedeur, it's not like we got that immediate success that we've been able to get in other rebuilds. If you're gonna win your first Super Bowl, you might as well do it against the final boss, the big cheat code. And you're looking at this, you're probably giving Shedeur the Super Bowl MVP here. 2 touchdowns, no picks, 76% completion percentage. Complete, smooth operator of the offense. Check mark. We're starting it off right. So we have done it through 6 years, 5 seasons of hard work. Our 91, 93 overall offense able to go toe-to-toe with the best program in football and get our Super Bowl. Feel happy with it, man. Again, like, I pondered to myself, like, should we just make these rebuilds 10 years and, like, just win as much as we can in those 10 years? We've done that before, and I feel like, you know, if we just keep, you know, it never hits the same as that first Super Bowl win. And there's going to be times, and Whitley, oh, the guard that we moved to tackle is a superstar, Dev. You know, it's just kind of like padding your stats. It's like when you write an essay, you got to make a 1,000-word essay, and you're just trying to figure out how to make it longer. That's what I kind of feel like the extra years are after winning that first big Super Bowl. Because there's going to be, like I said, there's going to be rebuilds that it's going to take. There might be ones that we might not get anything in 10 years. There's going to be rebuilds where, like, we have a team like this, and then I can't afford everyone, and you got to have a mini rebuild within a rebuild. Luckily enough, we started this thing with the number 1 overall pick, and we're able to get a complete game changer at quarterback. But I foresee definitely a couple rebuilds on the horizon where we're going to have to start over mid-rebuild, and that's going to, you know, we're going to need to utilize all 10 of those years that we give ourselves. But, you know, throw your feedback in if you want to see it be a little longer, but that's kind of where I think about it. Maybe you could persuade me a little bit for what you guys want to see for the best Madden 25 realistic rebuilds that I can potentially make. Please let me know. Please give me your feedback. But ultimately, very happy to see. Look, Dallas Turner, another guy that just got buried in the depth chart of the Minnesota Vikings as a first-round pick. We signed him cheap and developed him into a hell of a pass rusher. Phillips, I mean, I would say no one was really disappointing in this rebuild. And I think the fact that we stuck with the 3-4, I didn't get frustrated like I usually did and then just go to a meta defense. Well, not necessarily go to a meta defense. I fired the DC, and if there's a meta defense available in the open market, then we go through the proper channels to get and acquire said defenses. But we stuck it out in the 3-4, and this Giants defense, hey, I mean, yes, it is kind of headlined by 2 X factors, but I'll tell you right now, if we're struggling with the 3-4, we know the Giants, that could be a break glass in case of emergency in the future. I'd say the only thing I was disappointed with was the secondary. I thought with Deonte Banks, Cordell Flott, Drew Phillips, Sab, Nubin, that we'd have like ball hawking secondary. We get 4 or 5 picks every night. And like, the interception numbers were consistently not really up to our standard. And I guess you could say offensively, if there was a disappointment, it's just I thought Aaron Jackson, the weapon, so I don't think he's like a Deebo Samuel, that we moved to running back. I thought that might unlock like that Saquon Barkley level of running back play that we've seen in Maddens of years past. With a Brian Dable offense, Saquon just lights the league up, and we were unable to kind of unlock that here today. But ultimately, very successful. I mean, we saved Evan Neal's career. Let's take a look here at the final career stats. 6 years with the New York Giants. We have just under 20,000 passing yards for Shedeur Sanders, 149 touchdowns and 45 picks. I mean, not really on like a Hall of Fame pace, if we're going to be completely honest, but he does have a Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP to boot. So who knows? Maybe he'll be in the Eli Manning discussion of is he Hall of Fame or Hall of really good? Run game is what it is. Shedeur is surprisingly efficient in the run game. Mailk Nabers was incredible, though. Through 6 seasons, 8,000 yards, 80 touchdowns. So, certainly a player. Honestly, maybe the only reason why I'd want to go full 10, just to see where he's at the end of those 10 years. But clearly, we could see trajectory on a Hall of Fame pace, moving him into the slot. Do that if you ever take control of a New York Giant franchise rebuild on your own personal time. Make sure you put him in the slot. Thank me later. 6,500 yards, 35 touchdowns for Wan'Dale Robinson, who developed at one point in this rebuild to a superstar playmaker. That was pretty awesome. Defensively, Micah McFadden, just under 800 tackles, 14.5 sacks, 7 picks. We have 134 sacks from Brian Burns, and honestly, I think it's fair to say like that. If he goes in the Hall, keeps playing this level, he's going in as a Giant. Multiple seasons where he was flirting with 20 sacks. He got 20 sacks 1 year straight up, an absolute beast. Sexy Dexy for a nose tackle, getting 93 sacks is incredible. An absolute freak. And here you can look at the interception numbers. Man, not the best, man. But it is what it is. You give and take. I'll take, honestly, at this point, give and take. Give me a 3-4 defense that lets good players get after the quarterback versus what we usually get, which is a 3-4 defense that just cannibalizes your good players' dev traits because they just never perform. But ultimately, I think this is an excellent start to resetting the Madden 25 realistic rebuild. You start with the Giants, with Shedeur Sanders. What should be our next lot? Do we go just straight to the Raiders? Look at Cam Ward. Let me know in the comment section below. I need team and players you guys want to see. Obviously, I can kind of, if you give me the team put together, who they're thinking about. But let me know. And it doesn't all have to be tied into a player in 2025. There's a prospect you see in 2026. There's a prospect you see in 2027. Those are the 3 realistic draft classes that we are using in this series. Team and player combination in the comment section below. And we will go with the most upvoted. I'll be in the comments chilling out. Let me know. But until next time, it's your boy C4 saying if it's your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button as we are on the long journey to go from 175,000 subscribers up to the big 200. So if you did enjoy what you saw today, hey, hit that subscribe button. All choosy YouTuber stuff. Hit the like button. Leave a comment for the YouTube robots. Help my channel in the algorithm. And until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out. Love ya. Have a good one.